Hey friends, it's time. You've always wanted this. You wanted ray tracing to come out on your GTX graphics cards. And as of last night, they are finally supported in the new driver update. And not only that, not only are GTX cards now officially supported, but they also dropped the links for you to be able to get the demos that they've been showing off at all of the conferences. So if you've always wanted to run that Star Wars demo, it is now here. So the point of today's video is not just to talk about how ray tracing is now available on GTX cards, but to show you just how garbage it actually is and how the dedicated hardware that's actually on the RTX cards makes a world of difference. So we have the RTX 2060 in here, the lowest end RTX card that you could get, and we're going to be comparing it to the GTX 1660, the GTX 1066 gig, and then finally the GTX 1080 Ti. So we've got a range of different cards that we're going to be comparing things to find out just how much do those tensor cores make a difference in the RTX cards. And while the ray tracing is supported on the GTX cards at this moment, DLSS is currently not supported whatsoever because those are used on the tensor cores, and there's just no way of faking that in a way that's actually going to work. So we've got a few different tests that I want to show you. We're going to start off with the RTX 2060, see what the baseline is of the worst ray tracing performance that you can get at 1080p low settings. Okay, so we're not going to be trying to stress out the 10 series and 16 series graphics cards at all. We're just going for as low and as boring as possible. So 1080p, low ray tracing, nothing special. And as we pull up the ray tracing Star Wars demo, 11 FPS is what we're sitting at right now. 16, 23, 24, it's picking up. It looks like it just needed to get used to itself. Now it's running at a cinematic 24 frames per second, which I would suppose is all it needs to run at, because this looks pretty smooth because it's film. It looks like it has a cap of 24. It looks really good, it looks really smooth, no choppy frames. It doesn't look like we're getting a whole bunch of stutter. And there you have it. RTX 2060 can handle 24 FPS in the Star Wars demo, no probs. It just took a second to realize it was actually running. So for 24 FPS, we're sitting at about 70, 75%, 80, not even 100. So this isn't taking all of the RTX 2060's power to run this super cinematic console gameplay setup. So that is the Star Wars demo. We're also gonna be checking out the 3D Mark benchmark in Port Royal, and then we're gonna head on over to Battlefield 5, and we're gonna get baselines and all of those, and then we're gonna move on. And for everybody who's wondering about this set, this is like not at all the finalized way we're supposed to be doing these types of videos. We're actually gonna be doing it in that corner over here, but we have that reserved because we're doing a live stream later today. So this is where I had to do everything. Everything's still kind of a mess. That is not at all set up, and this is not where this system's supposed to be, but it looks pretty. Okay, looks like we're averaging about 15 FPS in the Port Royal benchmark. You got about 100% usage and 15 to 16 FPS. And I've already confirmed that all of these cards actually work with ray tracing, so it should just be smooth once I plug them in. All you have to do is install the drivers, and then it just works. It just works.
Everything just works.
The CPU is like just yawning. Oh, you need 7% usage? Okay. Okay, there we go. Score of 3,700 or so. 3,700, average FPS is 17.45. That's pretty okay. It's pretty okay. So let's go ahead and let's just launch some Battlefield. It should be at 1080p, everything at low, including ray tracing. Yeah, graphic settings are fine. DLSS is off since we want to have the same settings between the 10 series and the RTX card. And then we'll just go to my favorite single story benchmark setup. Here we go, satellite radio. Y'all getting hit with the, let's just run a benchmark to see. All right, we got the ray tracing. You can see the fire in the water on the ground. You can see, oh yeah, there's that truck. Oh, the reflection stays the same all the way through. It's not janky. Hello, friends. Please stop shooting me. Okay, so we average probably somewhere in the 70s. That's okay, it's over 60 FPS, but that's 1080p at lowest with a card that's supposedly accelerating this ray tracing. So 60 FPS and everything else? Probs not. Probably not. And the whole point of this is not for me to show you guys, oh, these are the games that you can play with ray tracing on with the 10 series. Because the truth is, even the RTX 2060 is something that I probably would not use as a ray tracing card, because it's just not as capable to do the ray tracing settings to get you 60 FPS in resolutions that are good. And that was everything at low. All of the textures, everything on low, we're averaging 75 FPS with an RTX 2060. And that is sad. It's sad, because Like, the game looks like trash at low settings, even with ray tracing turning on. So let's go ahead and start with the 1060. Let's go the lowest and then work our way up. We'll go 1060, 1660, and then 1080 Ti. And for anybody who asks, how do we get the numbers on the side? It's MSI Afterburner with Riva Tuner Statistics Server. So it's actually really easy to do. So 1060, the worst possible ray tracing setup that you could have. Worst possible because this is the lowest official card that supported the 1060 6 gig. The 1660 is also pretty low, but it's still faster than 1060. So we'll see how this does. The 1650 from NVIDIA is supposedly not supported with this. They might change their mind later, but as I'm gonna pretty much guarantee is about to happen, it will not be worth it, and this is just gonna be trash anyways. Video driver crashed. Fantastic, good job, NVIDIA. Give me my ray tracing. Come on, load it. So you can see the GPU is pegged at nearly 100%, and that is a gorgeous 5 FPS currently going on right now. 3 in some instances. Ooh, delicious. 230 milliseconds per frame. We're averaging 4 FPS. This is glorious. It says it's using 0 megabytes of VRAM. That's interesting. All right, that's enough of that. I'm gonna say we averaged about 4 FPS there, so fantastic. Then with the Port Royal benchmark, we averaged 17.5 FPS with the 2060. My guess is this also going to be in the 3 to 4 region, if that, because as we all know, 1060s are trash cards, even though they're the most widely used card on the Steam hardware survey. They're garbage. Nobody loves them. They're old school. Everybody hates them. It's the 1660. That's where it's at. That's where it's at. Dude, I am 4th wave ska right now. Or was it the 4th wave? And now I'm the 5th, I can't remember. What is Streetlight Manifesto? Are they 3rd wave? Yeah, they're 3rd wave ska, so I'm 4th wave. Ooh, woohoo! Yeah, 3 FPS and a loud motorcycle backfiring. Delicious and nutritious with that 0 megabytes of VRAM being used. Oh, this is awful. 3 FPS. Oh man, 300 milliseconds per frame. Oh man, the CPU is just like, nah fam. Can I sleep? Why are you even using me right now? Oh, did it fail or was that the end of the benchmark? I wasn't paying attention. There it is, 787 with the average FPS of 3.65, glorious. That is less than 1/5 of freaking what the 2060 was capable of. So that's amazing. Now let's go ahead and swamp on over to Battlefield. Get it, because you fight in a swamp. In that war story that I do. Yep, ray tracing is on, DLSS not enabled. Everything is on low as it should be with the 1060. Oh, hey, 60 FPS. Why don't you look at that? Let's hit go on that. 55 FPS average right now. That's not terrible, but oh, look, once we get to the fire, a good 30 FPS. You can see the reflection still in the water, 22 FPS there. Oh man, when nothing's happening, it sure works really well. But I mean, at least this is playable, but what you are seeing is like the peaks and valleys of going between something that is below 30 and something that's above 60, depending on what's happening on the screen. But again, this is with everything on low, and like at this point, it's not even worth having ray tracing on technically. All right, well, let's end it there. 48 FPS average instead of the 75 that we were experiencing before. With the 1060, that's not something to sneeze at, but you would be better off just turning ray tracing off in the first place. 1060, done. RTX 20, or what? No, this is the GTX 1660. Still a stupid, broken name. It's garbage. And it needs an 8-pin when the 1060 needs a 6-pin? What is this nonsense, NVIDIA? Okay, it's GTX 1660. It's your turn to show me your Star Wars prowess. Wait, no, that's 5 minutes. Okay, 8, 9 FPS, 10. Let's go ahead and say an average of 8 and 9. 9, we'll round out at 9. You good, fam? Okay, so apparently it's not 1000% stable. Okay, now the VRAM's working on the 1660. So we can actually see even part of it's probably a VRAM issue because we're running, at least at peaks, it was hitting close to the limit of 6 gigabytes. So that's a decent indication that potentially 1660 with 8 gigabytes of RAM might have been a better choice. NVIDIA, it just works. Okay, so it looks like we're averaging about 8.5 FPS here. So that's pretty good for not having any sort of acceleration. That's half of what we would need it to be, less than half. It's like 35%. My math is off. Okay, I'm confident saying 9 FPS there. So cool. Goodbye, Star Wars. 6 FPS, this is glorious. This is almost double what the 1060 was, almost. Even in the Port Royal benchmark, we were seeing that it was capping nearly at the 6 GB VRAM limit. So that could partially be some of it. 6.44 FPS, so just under double what the 1060 was. And we all know that the gaming performance of the 1060 is more than 50% of the 1660. So the Turing architecture is actually doing pretty great here. So the 2060 was 75 FPS. The 1060 was 48 FPS. I'm gonna guess that this is probably in the 55 region. Okay, let's go. Oh, hey. All right, let's record the FPS. 63, 64, averaging 60. Let's see what it does. Ooh, look at the reflections. Okay, not dropping down to the 20s, around 40. Its lows are really nice. It's handling all of these reflections really well. Okay, 55, that's what I said, right? We're averaging 55 here. So what I said, I was straight on there. Okay, cool. 55, 56 FPS average, not too bad. Still not 60 FPS on a 1660 with everything on low, but also not horrible, kind of horrible. So that's enough of the low end crap, okay? This is the peasantry that we don't need to deal with anymore. We've got the Mac Daddy 10 series, the best of the non-ray trace cards, the 1080 Ti. We've got it right here. So let's go throw this one in. Oh boy, liquid cooling in the way. Did not think anticipation of this. That's not. Okay, should have piloted this idea before trying to jam this card in here. Okay, 1080 Ti, it's your turn, okay? Make me proud. Okay, so you can see right here, when it has 11 gigabytes of VRAM buffer, you're actually able to hit 6.8 gigabytes, or 6 points. You suck for crashing yet again. Wow, okay, let's try that again. But 6,800 megabytes is what it's using. There's clearly a bottleneck on the RTX 2060, the 1660, and the 1060 with their VRAM that the 1080 Ti is not experiencing, but even with the VRAM difference, you can see it's only running at 15 FPS at 100% usage at 2 gigahertz. We're running at 2000 megahertz right now. And this 1080 Ti cannot even manage what the RTX 2060 did. And it doesn't matter that it has more VRAM, it just physically doesn't have the acceleration necessary to make this happen. Oof, that actually even looks worse. It's like jagged around the edges. So this also looks like it's around 9 to 10 FPS average, so only slightly better than the GTX 1660, only slightly. And it could be that the 1660 Ti might have done slightly better in this as well. That's sad. So Turing, definite improvement, not the same architecture as Pascal, just in case anybody was wondering. NVIDIA didn't just resell us the same thing with a different badge. It actually made improvements. NVIDIA slightly ripping people off since whenever they were founded. Because there's clear innovation happening here. Like the 1660 runs things better, almost as good as the 1080 Ti, at least in the Star Wars demo, which, to be fair, was built for Volta. If it can't ray trace, should it even exist as a human? Those are the questions we like to answer here at UFD Tech. Also, how many graphics cards can you stack on top of one another? These are life's many mysteries. I'm pretty sure I could probably fit another 4. Oof, lovely, 8 to 9 FPS. This is slightly better than the 1660 because that ended up averaging around 6.7, 6.8 FPS. But yeah, it isn't great. This one's not going over 6,000 megabytes, so VRAM's not an issue with this one. The score, 2,152, average FPS of 9.97. Eat that 1660. The 1080 Ti is 30% better than you. That's sad. Wait, no, 50%. 50% better than you. I can do math. All right, Battlefield time. Ray tracing on, everything on low, 1080p, fantastic. I'm going to guess 63. Whoa, holy crap, is this better than the RTX card? Nope, especially not when it gets here. Tell you what. Slightly better than the 1660, but still really struggling. It has really good peaks though. Like when it's not actually trying to process ray tracing, it can hit almost 100 FPS. Okay, so right now this is actually doing better than the 2060 because there's not a whole lot of ray tracing that needs to happen. But the 2060 did not dip as hard. Okay, so it's averaging 86 FPS, which is 9 FPS faster than the RTX 2060. But that's with the caveat that like this scene over here is hardly using anything that needs to be ray traced. As soon as we come over here where the water and the fire is and all of the things that need to be processed for reflections, which is essentially the only place where Battlefield puts it, then we see major dips in FPS to the 60 mark, which is not at all where the RTX 2060 sits as far as the reflections. So, I mean, the 1080 Ti is a better graphics card for playing games than the 2060. Okay, here, let's do a little social experiment here. Let's change the settings. Let's go for custom, ray tracing reflection quality, ultra. So once you actually have good ray tracing implemented, you can see it's dropping down to 30, but let's go ahead and just head on over to the part where there's a lack of ray tracing. You'll see that the FPS is gonna increase quite a bit. 43, 39, 35, oh, this is hard, 26. 1080 Ti can't even get 30 FPS at 1080p with some good ray tracing on. So there you have it. The ray tracing is now officially on RTX cards, but as is the case with RTX stuff, it's not worth it. Like, unless you have a 2080 or 2080 Ti, you're gonna be struggling in everything that you're trying to do. And it just doesn't become worth it. And there's not enough games that are supporting it. It doesn't wow enough yet in order for this to be something that people should even care about. Like, the fact that NVIDIA is going ahead and giving ray tracing support to the lesser cards is cool, but at the same time, as you can see, it's playable in games, but you're gonna have better graphical fidelity if you just turn up the textures and you turn ray tracing off on the 10 series and the 16 series. It's not at all worth it to have it like this. Maybe this is NVIDIA's point. If you really want ray tracing, you should go RTX, and turning on ray tracing for all of the other graphics cards really shows just how incapable they actually are, how much advancement has actually taken place in between Pascal and Turing. Not just when it comes to the tensor cores and the ray tracing cores that are in the RTX cards, but even the 1660 in the Star Wars demo was almost on par with the 1080 Ti when it came to how it was processing the ray tracing reflections that were going on there in a way that's kind of astounding, that a Turing low-end card can hold its own with a 1080 Ti when there's a $400 price difference between the MSRPs of these when they were at launch. So it does show that NVIDIA has been bringing advancement, and it does show that there is a significant enough gap that if you at all want ray tracing, if you want to have things ray traced, go with an RTX card. Sure, the RTX 2060 might suck as a gaming graphics card compared to the 2080 Ti, but that's why you should buy the RTX 2070, because it's like the same price, used price of a 1080 Ti versus a 2070 used price. You're gonna get better gaming performance and you'll get ray tracing that's not garbage. But RTX 2060 for $350 versus a $700 card, I think I'd go with this for ray tracing. Anyways, that's where we're gonna end this video. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Obviously, we didn't do screenshots of the ray tracing because it should look the same for the most part, and that really shouldn't have been the difference. It was really the frame rate that we were trying to take a look at today. Let me know if you want us to look into anything more with the new ray tracing features that are on these graphics cards. We will try to see if we can make it happen. So let us know your suggestions down in the comments down below. Don't forget to check out our other channels. We have the Hot News channel, which is going to have exclusive clips and news and deep dives and certain other aspects that we're not going to necessarily have here on the UFD Tech channel. And don't forget to check out both of our podcast channels, High Bandwidth and Random Access, in case you want more long form content from us. And then you could also become a patron if you want to give us money for the things that we're trying to do here and support us in the ventures that we're trying to take over the world with, like NVIDIA. Anyways, I'm Brett with the UFD Tech channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see your smile face again in the next video. I love you too. And also mind the mess. We'll have a better set sometime soon. My longest yeah boy ever. Yeah boy! These floors are amazing. Hello, Shroud PC. Come on, come on. That was perfect.